Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode. I have Stephanie McGregor again. She was my guest on episode 24, where we discussed her losing 150 pounds in 1 year. So if you haven't listened to it, please do go back and listen to it. She shares a lot of valuable information and she's just amazing and inspirational. Today, however, we are going to discuss her recent fast that she did 42 days. Yes, 42 days. She went without food for 42 days. And we're going to discuss how much she lost, the reasons why she did such a long fast, and we're also are going to answer some of the questions that people have DM'd me with on Instagram, and I'm super intrigued. I've never done anything longer than 7 days, and that was only one time, and I can't even imagine going longer. But she did it. She's super inspirational, and I have so many questions for her as well. And I look forward to hearing what she has to say, her experience, and hopefully you all will enjoy it. Of course, everything we discuss here is for general information only. None of this is meant to be medical advice. Don't start a 40-day fast without medical supervision. And before you make any changes to your diet, always consult your PCP. Well, welcome to another episode, Stephanie. I'm so happy to have you back. I am so intrigued by your 42-day fast. I'm absolutely blown away. I myself have done 7-day fast. That was my longest, and that was like 2 years. So I haven't done anything over 5 days in 2 years. So I am so blown away and intrigued. And I know a lot of people out there are as well. So I want to start off just asking you, um, what was the reason for you doing this 42-day fast?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me back. um, yeah, so there is a background story to this. Back in the 1990s, I was working at a summer camp, and there were some people in my community. I did not go to this church with them, but I caught wind that they wanted to fast and pray for 40 days. And I was quite involved in the church back then, and I was really intrigued. And it just I find for me, when I feel like I'm really supposed to do something, I get a sort of feeling in my heart that's almost like butterflies, like flutters in my chest, like a nervous excitement. And when that feeling doesn't go away, over the years, I've learned that tends to be an indicator that this is something you really need to pay attention to and tune into, like your body, your spirit, like something is speaking. And and so I looked into it, and I'm like a dog with a bone. When I get a topic, I just dig and learn. Now, granted, it wasn't quite the same as now with so many faith. There was no Facebook and Facebook groups and internet, but I did what I could. I read paperback books and decided this is I'm going to do this. And so in 1997, as a teenager working at this summer camp, I embarked on the fast, and I was isolated from all these other people who were doing it. So during mealtime, I would go down to the chapel with my guitar and hang out. I didn't know a lot then. I didn't know what I know now about autophagy and ketosis. I just was fasting because I knew fasting was healthy, and I knew it was good for spiritual health and mental health and physical health. So I just went for it. But long story short, on day 25, I went into the city for training for the university orientation freshman week committee, and drank Malibu coconut rum.
Hmm.
So I strongly advise never end a fast with alcohol
No, bad
ever
idea.
again.
Always a bad
No,
idea.
terrible, terrible, terrible.
Hmm.
Yeah. And so then, a lot of life has happened since 1997. Fasting has never been completely foreign to me. Over the years, if I really had a bout of a lot of stomach and GERD issues, I'd say, well, maybe I just need to do a cleanse for 7 days. And my roommate and I would fast for 7 days, but then I'd have rebound syndromes with needing antacids. And so it's like, I never really learned and understood what I was doing.
Hmm.
So fast forward to now, I'm already deep into the fasting focused lifestyle. Intermittent fasting is part of my life. Short fasts are part of my life. Extended fast, I enjoy the feeling of being fasted. So I start thinking, oh, the season of preparing for Easter is coming, Lent is coming, this arbitrary, 40-day number that always seems to come up with not just in Christianity, but in every religion in the world. This concept of 40 days of purpose, 40 days of focus. And it was like my heart got that feeling again. And it was one of those moments where it was like, when you feel like I need to finish what I started 25 years ago. I never finished it. And so, it didn't start out originally as I'm going to do this for spiritual purposes, but it just lined up in time as I'm getting ready for Easter that I said, what better time to do it than for this purpose, so that I'm doing it not just as a weight loss diet, but for a better purpose, to focus on different intentions and to read literature and to study things daily as part of my fast. And so I literally looked at it as I had regained some weight during COVID, as did a lot of people. So my body fat and BMI percentages were not where I want them or need them to be, medically even speaking. And so I said, this could hopefully be the last time in my life that I have the body fat percentage and storage to sustain 40 days.
Mm-hmm.
And so I set my intentions to water fast for 40 days and gave myself no pressure, nothing carved in stone. I said, if I don't feel well at any time, I stop. If I need fasting aid, like broth, then I will do that. I just said, I will listen to my body. This is what I'm going to aim for. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where this will take me, but I knew that I'm at the 1-year mark of being completely prescription free. My body fat was a little elevated. I had a little extra padding that I needed to work with. And it was winter, so I wasn't going too far anyway, because fasting makes me cold. And I thought, something, this is the right time. This is right. I want to finish what I started, and I can do this. And then I threw it out there and ended up having some people kind of jump in with me in all different contexts and levels of fasting.
I
But
saw that
for
you had a
me,
group on Facebook,
I
correct?
started, an event. Yep. I have my own page. And then I started
Anyone
an event and then also a fasting circle.
Did anyone complete the full 42 hours with you? Excuse
Days.
me, 42 days with you, or no?
Yeah, there was one other person
Wow.
who did, I think it was 1,000 hours.
Wow, that's
And
awesome.
many people committed for their first time ever doing a 72 a week or
Mm,
fasting intermittent every day when that was new for them. And so there were 28 people in my life app fasting circle, and everybody was committing to a new or a harder version of fasting for them. And it was really neat to see people succeeding in it.
that's
And for
awesome.
me, at no point did I say, I'm doing this come hell or high water.
Mm,
Like I said, I always say during any fast, if it doesn't feel right, I stop. And when it didn't feel right anymore, I stopped. But it was shocking when you go into something prepared and in the right mindset and in the right body
hmm.
circumstances, how things will work out.
Well, and with fasting, I mean, if you're not mentally prepared, you're not mentally there. I've been there. You cannot. I mean, I can't even get through a full day of fasting if I'm not mentally ready and prepared.
Same.
So that's a huge, huge part of it. A big, very common question that people have had is, were you medically supervised during this fast?
So I saw that question and it's come up directly to myself and I know to you. So I know that you always have disclaimers and I just want to reiterate that you definitely should make sure
Mhm.
that your medical team is in the loop. To answer the question, I can't I can't unfortunately give you a direct yes or no, because was I medically supervised? Yes, I'm always medically supervised in my health
Mhm.
pursuits. Was I directly and actively medically supervised during those specific 42 days? No. But the thing is, I've been working with my doctor for quite a long time now, and I had also been working with an endocrinologist and closely with my pharmacy, actually, also because of when I was on certain prescriptions and looking at certain supplements and symptoms that happen even during this fast. Um, I actually did call the pharmacy at one point. I had a 10-minute chat about a supplement and what it may or may not have been doing to me. And that was kind of a cool finding we can talk about after.
Mm-hmm.
So I am medically supervised. I have a very close relationship with my doctor, and he's very well versed in what both my husband and I are always up to in the context of eating a ketogenic diet, intermittent fasting in general, fasting, pushing limits with fasting, even soft, dry fasting. We talk about carnivore as a dietary approach. We talk about all kinds of things that come up in the fasting and keto world, like from cholesterol numbers to glucose and insulin numbers to changes in blood pressure. So,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, it's one of those questions that it's a yes, it's a no, it's a loaded question. Yes, I'm always medically supervised, and my doctor's office is not 2 miles down the road,
Yeah. And
nor is
another
my
thing to
pharmacy.
mention here is like you have been doing this for quite some time. I
Right.
know that your previous fast, you had your doctor supervise you, your doctor knows you, knows your fasted focused lifestyle. So this is not like never
I
fasted
didn't just jump into
before.
this into some crazy experiment.
Exactly. So don't do
Yeah.
that. If you've never fasted before, you
Yeah.
have lots of issues and stuff like that. Don't jump into a long fast like that. You
Oh
definitely
gosh, yeah.
need
Like if you're on
yeah.
prescriptions, it's just not negotiable at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And even in 1997, the cool thing, my family doctor in 97, when I said, "Hey, I want to do a 40-day fast," he said, "Okay." He was part of the church people who were going to do the fast.
Oh
And
wow.
so even in 1997, here's this doctor was like, "Yeah, cool." Fast forward 25 years later, and now he's working with dementia patients, and he himself is suffering Parkinson, and he's come full circle and is back to using keto and fasting to help with brain issues related to those diseases. And so it's pretty neat. The doctor I have now is fresh. He wrote his exams and became our doctor. He's fresh. He's open. He's receptive. He's not a pill pusher. He celebrates with us. Like when I came off of my last prescription last spring for blood thinners, he was so excited along with me. He's very much well versed. And one example of how I am medically supervised, yesterday I took my kids to an appointment, just an annual growth check.
Mm-hmm.
And while we were there, we talked about my shoulder injury. I had stalled in physiotherapy after 2 years of rotator cuff physiotherapy. Last November, the physiotherapist said, "I need to discharge you because we've reached a plateau. There is literally nothing more physically I can tell you to do or try. You are doing everything right. I suggest you get a cortisone injection at this point." So yesterday I had an opportunity to talk face to face with my doctor and say, "Remember in November when you said,
Mm-hmm.
'Yep, I'll give you a cortisone injection?'" He said, "Yeah, I remember that." I said, "Well, guess what? Since December, I got back on track with the fasting and eating the proper human diet, and my shoulder is fine. I'm now doing full loaded bench or squat, barbell squats." And he said, "That's fantastic. It's amazing." So it was obviously inflammation.
Yeah.
So am I medically supervised in the sense I'm going weekly during a fast?
Keeps
No.
you
But
see
like
this
you said,
too.
I've been doing this long enough now and we talk about it.
It's incredible. It really truly is. And like when I tell people, like, even during the 5-day fast, how, day 3 and 4, you get like weird pains in certain areas of previous injury. And, you're like, what's going on? And it's, your body is healing that area. The stem cells are going to that part of your body that needs healing. It's truly remarkable to like when you think about it, like what really happens in your body. But anyway, going back to this, so this was your longest fast in the last 2 years, correct? When you really kind of got truly back into fasting, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Prior to this one, the longest was 12 days last summer. So
Okay.
you and
I
Angelica
remember
and
that. Yes,
quite a
I
few of the
remember
ladies were doing your fast.
because we were chatting
Right. And I
about.
had gone camping.
I remember that.
Yeah, I had already started my fast and then I jumped in with the ladies and then I got
Hmm.
to day 12 and kind of threw it out the window at camping. But
Mm. Wow. So
but outside of that, I've never done anything this long.
wow, that's incredible. And I mean, were you like kind of freaked out? Like, am I going to be able to do it? Or you were just like, I'm going to trust my body and let my body tell me when I need to stop?
I mean, all of the above. It's funny because if I set out to do a 7-day fast. On
Mhm.
day 2, I struggle for a bit. By the time I wake up on day 3, I'm usually totally fine and it's smooth sailing. I think with this one, and it was just a mental game, it's almost like my body knew what we were doing, but my brain hadn't caught up. And so it took until about day 6, I would say, until I felt that sort of smooth,
Mm.
level, things just kind of that wall that I normally hit around 24 to 36 hours
Yeah.
lasted for about 4 days. And
Mhm.
then when it let go, it just all of a sudden, next thing I know, I said, I only have 10 days left. It's
Wow.
just, it just flew by after that.
Incredible. Incredible. Of course, the most common question that we both already discussed, and people are just like so focused on this, and I understand, but at the same time, it's not about just that. How much did you lose during this fast? How much weight did you lose?
And it's so funny, I got really snaky about that question. And I kept getting triggered because even during like week by week, I would get the question, oh, how much? I kept getting triggered because even during like week by week, I would get the question, oh, how much are you down so far? And I would almost get like super defensive as though somebody was trying to steal my diary. And finally, I put a poll out there and I said, does this does this digit interest you and why?
Mm,
And I started to listen to what people were saying as to why it intrigued them. And I realized that some people just resonate with some digits and some facts and some symptoms more than other things.
mm-hmm.
And as long as they understood that when you fast, you will lose weight, but it's a lot of fluid, it's a lot of things that will shift back up again and not to panic.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to take a deep breath and say, it's just a number and people can do what they wish with it. So the fact of the matter is, in 42 days, I dropped 35 pounds,
35 pounds.
which is
Awesome.
pretty astonishing considering like I had lost so much prior. And then, yes, I had gained a bunch back, but out of what I had gained back, I was already down, what I think 25 pounds from December 7th until middle of February when this started. So
Wow.
to then go on to lose 35 pounds in 42 days was quite shocking. And I kept weighing myself for a couple days after I started broth, and it stayed the same. And then I left it alone until the end of the month because I've basically been feasting this whole week because last week was just getting my digestive back on track. This week I've just been like eating all the things and feasting, like aware of what I'm doing, not entirely feeling great after every meal because I'm like, oh, that was too much more than I thought it would be. But I know this week I'd probably be up at least 10 pounds, but it's fluid and food in my colon and waste and so I'll check in again at a 1 month after I've broken the fast. But 35 pounds is pretty astonishing, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what is your to this day, like, what is your total weight loss from when you started your journey 2 years ago? Like, what is your current total weight loss up to?
Well, as of the day I ended the fast, or as of Easter Sunday, just the other day, my tracker for weight said total loss to date was 155.
Okay.
So because I had lost 150
Mm-hmm.
in a year,
Yes.
and then I went dairy free for a year after that, and I kind of lost another 10,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't really prove to be where my body was able to sustain that because once I added any dairy back and different things, it just came back up. So I'd lost it at 150, then it was 160, and then back to 150 for a while. So as of right now, I'm between having been down about 150 to 155 from my heaviest.
Which is still
And
amazing.
I
I
would be
mean,
happy to stay here.
yeah.
It feels good.
Yeah, you look amazing. I mean, the pictures, definitely check out her Instagram. Your before and afters, I mean, are just incredible. Like I'm blown away myself, and I'm just so inspired by your fast. I don't know that I could ever do anything that long myself. Like, I mean, I'm thinking about
Yeah,
doing
I
like
know,
a
but then I think of stuff like that, and you work full time, and you coach people, and you work out hard. I do have the luxury at this stage in my life. It's unfortunate how I became a stay-at-home mom. because I was working, but it's unfortunate that sickness put me in this position, but I don't regret being here because I'm with my kids, but it allows me a little bit more time to focus a little bit more on laying low if that's what it takes, or, just resting a bit. My kids are old enough to kind of entertain themselves if I need to. I don't have to go work a 12-hour shift in
Yeah,
the
or
midst of day
24 hour
35
shift.
of a fast.
24-hour shifts. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that,
Yeah,
for
right?
me, definitely would not be
There's no
possible.
way I couldn't do it.
Would you ever do it again? Is this something you would do again, or at this stage of your weight loss, you're pretty happy where you're at and how you're feeling, that you probably not going to do anything longer like that? What's your thoughts on this?
I'm honestly, I don't want to say, oh, I'm never doing that again. I have said that. When I started this, I said this is a one-time thing. I flat out said, my body fat percentage started, I think I started the fast at a 39% body fat. And so I said, I can sustain this.
Mm,
I'm hoping over the rest of this year to continue working on body composition changes and shorter fasting. And I'm hoping to get my body fat to a place where maybe I wouldn't even be able to sustain a long fast like this.
mm-hmm.
If I ever felt like I had gotten myself in a place where it would prove to be beneficial, I definitely wouldn't rule it out. Again, like I mentioned before, sometimes you get that. I call it, for me, coming from a religious standpoint, I believe that's when you're being convicted, when you're, if I don't know, depending on what people believe in or not, like when your higher power is speaking to you saying, you need to do this, or like you need to press into focusing on something else for a bit. So in order to do that, you need to take away the desires of the flesh, the food. So I don't know. I mean, I'll keep an open mind. I
Yeah.
don't know that I would ever intentionally say, once a year I will do this. Maybe 21 days, once a year. I don't know. I think only time could tell. I think I'm going to be having one more skin related surgery. So who knows how healing would go. And sometimes it would lead me to do a long fast for deep scar healing.
Gotcha.
So again, I don't know that in the context of a weight loss standpoint that I think it would be wise to make it a habitual thing.
Yeah.
Um, Maybe some intermittent dry and wet fasting, but I don't know that I would ever do another 40 days for Lent
Yeah.
specific fast.
Gotcha.
Because I mean, one thing that I'll say is hard is that most people will say, oh, I'm so cold when I'm fasting. I mean, for 42 days, I was painfully cold.
Mm.
Snow pants at the playground, and
Yeah.
kids are wearing sneakers and hoodies.
Wow. Yes, all that,
So, I mean, it's
fat
tolerable,
burning.
but it's not enjoyable to be that
Yeah,
cold.
all this fat burning. So, what did you drink during this fast? No
So,
food, right? For 42 days,
I,
nothing to eat.
right, nothing to digest, no calories, no splash of cream in the coffee. So, black coffee only. And surprisingly, I reduced how much coffee I drank, if at all, not even every day. Um, I drank snake juice as needed, but I found the longer into the fast I got, regardless of how much I cut it with water, it still would be like a salt flush for me. So
Mm,
I actually didn't need to drink snake juice a whole lot, despite that sounding counterintuitive because of electrolytes. I would do it to be intentional, but
mm-hmm.
otherwise I would just focus on the salt, just the Redmond salt in my mouth as needed without as much water. I
Okay.
definitely reduced how much water I drank. So snake juice, just fresh water, sparkling water, not sweetened,
Mm-hmm.
and minimal black coffee. I did not actually have any broth until day 42 when I decided to break it.
Gotcha. Did you do a kidney shot as well, just to alkalize the kidneys? Because sometimes when you
I
go
didn't.
that long, no, okay, gotcha.
I know what they are and I know they're
Yeah.
beneficial. I just struggle with ACV. It makes me just
Mm-hmm.
wretch.
So no baking soda either, just
Oh, I use baking soda in my snake juice daily.
oh, okay, okay. So yeah,
Yeah,
the
because
baking,
especially after I broke a dry day, because I did
yeah.
do a few dry days,
Mm-hmm.
I would start with 16 ounces of water with a teaspoon full of baking soda and sip at that,
Gotcha.
um,
Yeah,
just to
that's
prepare
that's
myself.
important part of, preventing kidney stones? Because sometimes when you're fasting that long, your body can get kind of acidic, and you
For
can
sure.
yes, and
I
kidney
also
stones.
know I'm not prone to issues with uric acid or kidney stones. And then I've also been doing so many fasts in 3.5 years
Yeah.
that I feel pretty confident. And I've had lots of kidney and like creatinine tests and different uric acid tests. So I
Hmm.
felt pretty confident that at this stage in the game, with as much fasting as I had done, that I wouldn't see a flare up of gallstones or kidney stones. If you were quite new, it could be shocking to find out like that uric acid could build up and your kidneys could just throb. And I did find I felt my kidneys aching in my back when I did a dry day. So I broke with baking soda and water that evening because it just didn't feel right. And I knew it was my kidneys in my back. I could feel it.
So it's yeah, definitely important to listen to your body and definitely educate yourself when it comes to some of the stuff because you don't want to end up in the ER with a kidney stone because I've never had one, but I
Neither.
know how painful they are because I take care of people that have kidney stones
Hmm.
during surgery and stuff. What would you say has been the hardest part during this fast? Like, what has been the most challenging thing during this fast?
It's funny. It's crazy to say because for people listening who are interested in just getting started with fasting at all,
Hmm.
fasting for 24 hours sounds really hard to people. To say that nothing was hard sounds crazy, but
No,
it
not at
wasn't. The
all. I
fast
mean,
the hardest thing is the thing I already mentioned, which was being really cold.
mm,
Um, and it's funny because I thought it was just winter time that all of a sudden I was becoming a daily afternoon hot soak in the tub kind of girl.
mhm.
But since I've been refeeding and having lots of protein, I get in the tub and I start sweating and I'm like, what is wrong with me? I don't enjoy this. And then I realized it's because I'm eating and I'm not so cold. And so I found it hard because there were days that an hour would go by at bedtime and I was still be in my bed so cold that I couldn't get my feet warm. I would go get my hair dryer, plug my hair dryer in beside my bed, lift my blankets up, blow the hair dryer under the
Oh
covers to warm
gosh.
it up, and then throw the hair dryer on the floor, put the blankets down and go to sleep because
Wow.
I literally couldn't get warm. And the problem was it's almost like I had an aversion to
Mm.
black hot coffee, which is weird. And I almost felt mad that I wasn't enjoying coffee, but part of me was like, it's probably a good thing I'm not having it. But I was almost mad because the hot coffee might have warmed me up, but it was like I had an aversion to it. And so I wasn't drinking it. And so I was starting my day with water or a
What about
cold
hot
coffee.
tea? Could you do hot tea?
And again, I had one tea the whole time and it was on the last day.
Hmm.
I just it's weird. It's like I didn't want certain things. I didn't even end up want today was the first day I had a coffee with a splash of cream since the day before the fast in February. It's like
Wow.
my body just didn't want it. And so a hot bath and a portable heater and my hair dryer made my life more tolerable. But going to get my kids, they get out at two different times at two different schools. Fasting during the cold season still, there'd be days at the bus stop or the school pickup I was almost in tears because it was
Wow.
just so cold.
That's
And so that was
crazy.
hard. But again, it's strange. When I say hard, I mean I was like a cranky baby about it, but not
I'm
it
sure
didn't make life unmanageable.
I'm sure people will be like, "Really? That was the hardest part." But listen, like when you're cold, like when I'm cold, like it hurts. Like I
Yeah,
always
it
get
was like
cold.
bring tears to your eyes,
Yes.
uncomfortably cold.
Yes, yes.
And I was the only grown up wearing snow pants at school pickup. No shame.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Did you experience any issues with sleep?
So I normally do. I started taking CBD oil for bedtime.
Hmm.
So I now faithfully take it an hour, 2 hours before bed. And so, I mean, unless I just wasn't having a good night, 99% of my nights I slept like a baby. Now, normally during extended fasts, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm still like, you know, but really,
Interesting.
I
Wow.
just kept that as my routine as normal. And so
So it doesn't break your
any
fast.
insomnia I might have had from fasting was completely masked by taking CBD oil.
So it doesn't break your fast, the CBD oil. I don't
No,
imagine
and
it like,
like I looked into it, and there's not enough studies in general about autophagy and what turns it on and what turns it off and to what degree. Like it's still, there's still so much we need to learn about autophagy.
yeah.
And so that was one of the things for me. I decided any risks of temporarily tampering with autophagy were outweighed by the benefits of sleep and sanity and restfulness and anxiety. I have a mentally ill husband, I have two young children.
Mm,
I couldn't risk the insomnia that comes for a lot of people with fasting.
yeah.
And it took me a long time to get to this place, but there is no shame in saying it helps with my perimenopause symptoms. I had
Mm,
two periods come and go during this fast, one right at the beginning, one right at the end. No issues, right on time, no PMS symptoms, just nothing, and I'm sure the CBD helped with that too, because
mm-hmm.
sometimes I won't sleep
Awesome.
even because of my period.
I'm gonna have to try it out. Like I've actually never tried CBD oil, but I've heard great things about it.
It's just been a game changer, I'd say, since about early last fall.
Mm,
And it's probably what helped me be able to simmer down from the train wreck of 2020 and get myself calmer and
mm.
into a place of being able to get back to focus and be on track even. So I mean, I can't say enough about it just in general, but in the context of fasting or hormones, it's a game changer.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's good to know. Thank you for mentioning that. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
in
have to
fact, I
try
had
it.
written that down. I meant to make sure that was mentioned because insomnia is such a struggle with fasting.
Oh yeah, so common. And
Now, people panic about it, and you don't need
yeah,
to panic about it because
yes.
the sleep you're getting is
Mm-hmm.
fewer hours, but the hours you're getting are deep sleep.
Quality, yes.
Hmm.
The quality of
But
the
that
sleep.
doesn't help when you have two small kids and you've been awake since 3
Yes,
a.m.
absolutely. Yeah,
Because halfway through the day, you're like, I'm toast.
yeah. Wow.
So at least with this, it just sustained me through the day.
Yeah,
Sometimes boredom does get to you too.
yeah.
Everyone else is eating and you're like,
Mm, yeah.
not eating again.
I know. Did you exercise during this fast? And what did you do for exercise? And
Yep. So I did not go out for walks because it was too damn cold. Um, at the beginning of the fast, I had stated my intentions. Well, actually, if you back up 1 month,
mm-hmm,
End of January was the 1 year mark since I had my skin removal surgery on my stomach and
mm-hmm,
had stomach muscle repair. So I wasn't cleared to start lifting heavy weights, doing planks or core or anything with my abs
mm-hmm,
until the end of January.
gotcha.
So I was only 2 weeks past that appointment when this fast started. So I had already stated my intentions this year to start and to aim to get there to the gym 3 times a week. Two of those days are total body strength days. So maybe barbell squats or deadlifts, bench press, heavier lifting. So I started out the fast where I was just restarting in January anyway,
Mm-hmm,
which was a slightly lowered weight factor from before surgery. So
mm-hmm,
where I started out at the beginning of the fast, my squats, like my major muscle groups, stayed status quo. So I was squatting 95, I was deadlifting 95. That stayed the same.
mm,
But the smaller muscle groups like biceps, triceps, shoulders, anything. So if I was doing shoulder press with 12-pound weights, by the end of the fast, I was using 8-pound weights. So my weight factor came down,
mm.
but my days that I was going to the gym stayed the same. The fact that I was working out and for how long stayed the same. So my intensity did come down a little step by step, and my weight factor came down step by step a little bit, but I never stopped working out. And
Interesting.
so
Wow.
now I'm back to, okay, now we need to build back up and then build up.
Do you
So I
feel
did
like
keep working out.
do you feel like you lost muscle at
No,
all?
if anything, I feel like I've been starting to gain some. I mean, my stamina and strength to push wasn't there, so maybe I was using smaller weights. But then,
Yeah.
like I said, my larger muscle groups were still taking the brunt. So that was fine. And also my shoulder was clearly going through a lot of healing. So to
Mm,
lower a shoulder press didn't shock me and it was totally okay. And I'm sure I probably could have kept going at the 12, but I was listening to my body. My body felt a little bit fatigued. So I said, now's not the time to push. And
mm,
even Cole Robinson says, when you're fasting, that's not the time to push the heavy weights anyway. And my coach also is interested in fasting. And she and I talked a lot. I have three coaches, but the head coach, who's also the owner of the gym,
mhm,
like they all were in the loop of what was going on, all of them. And
mm,
so if they said, oh, we're doing this today, kettlebell swings, I'd say, I'm just going to go with a baby kettlebell for this one today to go through the functional movement. They were like, yeah, no problem. But I mean, they always were like, you're okay. Couple times, for example, I will get orthostatic hypotension, low blood
mm.
pressure sometimes. Usually
Get
for me,
lightheaded. You
that
go
means,
lightheaded.
yeah, like, but sometimes, like for me, that means, okay, haven't had enough snake juice today. Particularly for me, that's usually a potassium issue.
Yeah.
So if we were doing burpees at the gym, I had to be really intentional when I was coming up to
Mm,
leave my head to the very end and then go back down for the next one. So the coaches knew all of those things. And so, kind of like being medically supervised, I was also nutritionally and fitness supervised too.
yeah.
So I had professional fitness trainers constantly keeping their eye on me going, you good? You feel okay?
Good. Great. That's awesome. I mean, I feel like honestly, it's incredible that like you were able to even work out. Like, how many times people feel like, oh my gosh, if I fast, I cannot do anything because I'm gonna like pass out or die from like lifting my finger up like this, you know? And it's like when I'm fasted, like I actually like feel better when I go to the gym and I'm fasted. I have more energy. So there's definitely that growth hormone factor. I don't know all the details. Like, different people get different growth hormone spikes, but like I've experienced like just my workouts are so much better when I'm fasted and then I come home
For
and I
sure.
eat afterwards. Because
Well, and normally Wednesdays are cardio days.
hmm
So when I say cardio, I don't mean an elliptical trainer. I mean lower weights, higher repetition, higher
hmm
heart rate. You're up and down, you're up and down. There's more Tabata movements. So it's more like a hit workout with
yeah,
hand weights.
wow.
But I prefer to do um, Wednesdays for me, I prefer to do fasted.
hmm
So I mentioned earlier this week in general, I've been like not intermittent fasting. I've just been on feast mode. And I made a meat pie on Wednesday and I ate it at 1 o'clock and
hmm
cardio day was at 4:30. I literally thought I was going to vomit. And I said to the coach, now I remember why cardio day is fasted
hmm
day for me because this is
Yeah,
disgusting. I
yeah.
just can't do it next week. Not
And
like
then you
that.
probably just feel sluggish too,
Yeah.
It's like because your
Well, and
body.
I only half-assed did the workout because I was like, if I push, I will throw up.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, I like to do my eating days on strength days, the
Mm.
heavier weightlifting ones, and then fast on cardio day because it's just not good for my stomach.
How did you get over watching your family eat dinner and cooking for your family? It's for a lot of people that seems to be the biggest struggle is like when they're
Yeah,
fasting and then they're watching their family eat or cooking for them and you're like just sitting there like, oh gosh, I'm gonna die from hunger. So can you touch on that and tell
for
us?
sure.
Yes.
So this is actually a big problem for a lot of people,
Hmm.
more specifically women, and definitely more specifically women with young children. Um, I will say, in the same sense that I said I have an unfair advantage being a stay at home mom versus being a full time medical professional, I have an unfair advantage at mealtime because I am severely celiac. And so, way before fasting,
Hmm.
way before keto, it has already been the norm in my house that I don't eat what anybody else is eating. And so I also don't force the subject of mealtime is at this hour and we sit down and eat, and this is why. For a few reasons. One, I recognize not everybody is hungry at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Two, my son has severe texture issues. The odds of getting him and my daughter to eat the same foods are highly unlikely at this stage. Three, I intermittent fast. So regardless of what I'm eating or when, I don't
Yeah.
eat when they eat anyway. Four, my husband works permanent overnight shifts. His first meal is at 9 p.m. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not waiting till 9 p.m. to eat with him. Not only that, I don't eat the same foods as him because we keto and fast very differently. So I don't prepare meals for him. So I've got a lot of these unfair advantages. I don't have to cook for my husband. Here's the thing though, like I feel really bad for the bulk of the people who live a more traditional family dynamic and meal schedule because
Mm-hmm.
ideally I would love for that to happen. I think it's beautiful and I grew up that way. I think it comes down to stop thinking of what you're doing as being something selfish. First of all, just in the context of the food itself, what you're doing is loving yourself and taking care of your body. And so you don't need to feel like I'm a dick because I'm the odd man out at the dinner table. No, you need to take care of you
Yeah.
first and foremost. As for the difficulty that comes with cooking for family or kids and fasting, it gets easier when you're doing it for you and you don't feel apologetic about it. So when
Mm-hmm.
you're fasting because you genuinely want the health benefits and you truly feel well when you're fasting, you don't give a crap how it
Yeah.
looks or how it feels, even if you went to a potluck. And people, it's almost like you just have to let go of the social and societal pressures on you when someone says, "Why aren't you eating?" I guarantee people think more about others being worried about why they're not eating than how many people actually notice that you're not eating. Most people
Absolutely.
won't notice because I'm celiac. I don't go to potlucks and eat things.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
if someone
we,
says, "Well, you're not hungry," I'm like, "Nah, I already ate."
yeah, and we discussed this on our last podcast, episode 24, kind of like the social pressures. But like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, think about it this way. Okay. If you go to somebody's house and, they are like, oh, you want some food? Just say, "No, thank you, I'm not hungry at the moment." You don't have to say I'm fasting. Like,
Yeah.
if somebody offered you cocaine, would it be hard
Yeah,
for you
you
to
don't
say no,
say,
thank you?
"I'm not having it this week."
No, thank you. Oh no, I'm
Maybe
fasting.
tomorrow.
I'm fasting. I'm just saying no. It's the same thing, like, you have no problem saying no. I don't want any cocaine today. Thank you, though. Like, it's
But
it's not
again,
that
like
hard.
people, you have to treat the fasting and food topic in society as similar to bullying. People will push and
Mm-hmm.
say dumb things to you. You just
Yeah,
have to choose not to let it get to you. And you do not have to feel that you have to justify yourself to anyone. The harder
absolutely.
part is when it's your own home, your own family. I get it that that's hard. Or if you're not celiac and your kids are like, "Can we make
Yeah.
cupcakes?" And you're like, "How do I not eat one?" It's just a choice. It just comes down to being a
Mm-hmm.
choice. It's discipline. It gets easier over time. Then some days it's really not easy, but
Mm-hmm.
you just make a choice. And then if for some reason you lick something or grab something, don't panic about it and don't go post on the Facebook
Yeah.
group and be like, "Oh my god, I put the spoon in my mouth while I was stirring the soup. Do I have to start my fast over?" No, just keep going.
Yeah.
Life didn't stop. You're fine. But I do commiserate with you. I feel bad because, like I said, I think being celiac and working opposite shifts for my husband actually gives me an unfair advantage to some
Mm-hmm.
families.
Yeah.
I get it. That
But I
it's
mean, it's
yeah.
like it really shouldn't be that much different. Yes, there's nothing wrong. Just go and cook dinner for your family. Like, you stay in your lane. You know what you're doing. This you decided to do. Even if it's a 3-day fast, you made a
Mhm.
decision. You commit to it. Keep the promises you make to yourself. It's gonna build your confidence, your self-esteem, and when you finish, you're gonna feel so much better. Like, but it's almost always like after you eat, you're like, oh, I wish I hadn't broken my fast. Oh,
Yeah,
I've never felt like, oh yeah, I'm glad I broke my fast. Like, it's always the opposite. Same thing when you don't feel like going to the gym and you get there and you're like, yes, I'm so glad I went to the gym. So again,
exactly.
it's your journey. Don't let anyone bully you or make you feel, whether it's at work or at home. It's your journey. Just get get it straight here first in your mind, and it's going to be
Hmm.
a lot easier, and your family will understand. Another very common question asked by people is, did you lose hair? Did you notice any hair loss? Did you take any supplements for hair? Because that's a seems to be a very common concern with longer fasts is,
Mhm.
your follicles basically churning off and your hair falling out. Have you
Yep.
experienced that?
I'm not going to lie about it. Um, it's also not the first time this has happened to me. So, yes, I lost piles of hair.
During this fast or
However,
before?
during this fast,
The fast.
last summer during my 12-day fast, in 2017 when I started keto, in 2016 after I had Phoebe, in 2014 after I had Noah, in
Mm,
2017 after I had blood clots. Anytime you have like a massive hormone change
yes.
or a pregnancy or a rapid amount of weight loss
Mm,
or an extreme fast, it's called stress. It's your body's natural way of saying, what's the least important thing right now? Hair, drop it.
hmm.
It's fine though. I know right now my hair is straightened, so it's a lot smoother than what you would see. It's pulled back. My hairdresser came last Friday and she was like, "You are at no risk of being bald anytime soon. Trust me." And she even was explaining the longer your hair is, the more you'll also notice it.
Yeah,
I
because it's
also don't
long,
brush
right?
and wash my hair often.
Hmm.
So when you do, then even more seems to come out because you're not touching it. I had considered taking collagen during the fast once daily in a hot coffee. But number one, it's not a complete protein, but it does tamper with autophagy, so I didn't bother. Number two, I did do it one day and then I had gut rot. I didn't feel good.
Mm.
And number three, I barely had hot coffee, so I didn't feel like trying to find another vehicle to get collagen or anything like that into me. I also wasn't interested in pumping supplements. I also understand that it's like the whole concept of what goes up must come down.
Mm.
The hair dropping doesn't last forever. It is a phase. It's not uncommon. It's not this. I mean, if you have a thyroid issue or there's something going on and you're having continual
Hmm.
issues, clearly that's a whole different story. But a temporary phase of hair dropping is not a cause for concern for me. I've been through it several times. I mean, after I had my first child, I lost so much it receded and then grew back like a lion's mane. It is what it is. I mean, I
Yeah.
just
And it
it
does regrow. I have
and it comes
had,
back different and healthier.
yes, I have had that happen. I mean, I've had some hair falling out last year when I lost 70 pounds. It's going to happen. You lose that much weight, some of your hair is going to fall out. But I've had actually no problems of regrowth. My hair is actually stronger than ever. I do supplement with biotin and some vitamins and stuff. Do you have a spiritual experience during this fast? That's another
Nothing
common
super
question.
outstanding. Spiritual, yes, in the sense, like there was a book I was reading every day called Purpose Driven Life. And so it was almost like doing a daily devotional. And so I was resonating with what I was reading every day. It was almost like every day it totally was bang on about the day. Um, I started going to a program with my husband. I posted about this on my social media on Wednesday. We started going to a program called Celebrate Recovery. So, in just dealing with habits, hurts, and hangups. So, it's
Mm,
similar to a 12-step program, but it's through a church. And so, I was starting to feel connected more to the spirit side of things through that. Feeling a sense of calm in the storm a little more than maybe I might have on other days. It was more subtle changes. For some people, this might be TMI, but it gets asked a lot, especially properly. Everyone wants to know about poop.
a good question. Yeah.
Literally, almost daily, people would ask me about it. Like one person specifically said to me, "Was it difficult your first poop after you ate?" And I said, "Girl, I can count on one hand out of 42 days of fasting how many days I did not have a bowel movement."
Really?
And
That's
people were like, "I don't
incredible.
understand
Yeah.
what was coming out of you."
Huh.
And although scientifically I can't answer that literally, what I can assume is autophagy breaking down and recycling things, and that's the
Yeah.
waste mechanism
Toxins.
for
Yeah,
Yeah, like,
eliminating toxins and stuff
yeah,
like that.
exactly. So, I
Yeah.
mean, if we eliminate food waste
Mm,
through our colon, well, then any
yeah.
other waste and protein and dead cells and scar tissue. I mean, I know there were several times during the fast, my insides of where all my skin removal incisions were insanely itchy, but that phantom itches, the ones you can't get to, all nerve
Yeah.
related. But I mean, you would imagine that your body's
Interesting.
breaking down stuff. And so literally maybe 4 or 5 days out of the 6 weeks, I didn't have to have a bowel movement.
Wow.
And so just so people know, yes, you still poop when you fast, and it's totally normal.
Wow. That's
It's
incredible.
also normal if you don't. Like if your body's cleaned out and the healing is minimal, then you may not.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point. I would love to know more about like really what happens. Like how is your body still producing so much waste to
I know.
eliminate it, even though you're not ingesting any food, especially after 42 days. That's
Yeah.
something
Like
that's
on a
incredible.
dry fast, I wouldn't go on a dry fast day, but after I had my first 8 ounces of whatever fluid, then I'd have to go.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Some people that like start like longer fast or like especially dry fast, they do like a cleanse. They try to get like as much out of their intestines to keep
Yeah.
that route
Well, otherwise your
open.
body's holding the toxins.
Yes. I mean,
So I had no issues with that.
yeah, that's awesome. But like when I've done like a 5 day dry fast, I did do like a little bit of a cleanse, like taking a little extra magnesium and
Yeah.
L-carnitine just to kind of let get the food waste out of my intestines so the other waste has a open route of eliminating the other stuff without the food. I'm sure it would all come out eventually, but on the dry
Well,
fast, it's a little bit different, I
it
think.
is your body stops differently.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing too, is that for me, I normally take magnesium in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
And although it's not the most recommended kind, I do use magnesium citrate in powder form
Mm-hmm.
for bioavailability, and that's what's been working for me.
Yeah.
However, one really interesting thing I noticed, and I didn't put the two and two together at first. The first couple weeks, I was so bruised everywhere, and I thought, oh
Interesting.
my gosh. And I know sometimes people start keto, they end up getting more bruises.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, this is crazy. I have more bruises now than when I was on a blood thinner. So I wasn't entirely sure. I figured it just had to do with being in a deep state of ketosis. So, and going to the gym. So, but then I found the magnesium citrate was ripping through my intestines too much. So I eliminated it during the rest of the fast.
Oh,
A week later, and for the remainder of the fast, the bruises that I had
hmm.
cleared up and I got no more. So I did some deep diving on the internet and found out that magnesium can impact blood viscosity, and that fasting, particularly dry fasting, can help thin your blood, even though, or thicken your blood, but then dry fasting does the opposite. And I just started learning all these things. And so I came to my own hunch that the magnesium citrate was severely increasing my blood's clotting properties, and I was bruising like a peach.
That's
Took
interesting.
that away, it stopped happening.
How many days post breaking the fast are you currently?
Today's day 10.
Okay. So tell us
So
about your refeed, your story of you were gonna go for 45 days, I believe.
I said 40,
Uh-huh.
but then I realized that Lent is more so a Catholic thing, and I'm not Catholic, but it's still, I like the idea of the 40 days.
Mm-hmm.
But they take Sundays off.
Yes.
And so that's where they get the 40, but it's actually on the calendar, it's 46 days.
Oh.
So I said 40 days, but then I was like, well, I might as well just do 46.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to do 46, but then I thought, I've always been told if you get nausea or you feel sick, you need to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I had black coffee 3 days in a row, and I thought, oh, it gave me gut rot because I hadn't been drinking it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wasn't feeling right. And so I thought, it's just time, something's wrong. So I had a tea that didn't help. I had some sipping cooking broth, not bone broth. It didn't help. And then I said, I need to start cooking homemade broth because I don't feel right. Side note, there was a virus going around. My mother had it. My
Mm.
closest friend had it.
Like a
The
stomach
a
virus?
stomach, a gastro and a gastro bug. So I believe whatever virus was going around probably impacted me. I probably could have finished the fast had that not happened. So no regrets. Like I had to. I was not feeling well. So, step one was I tried tea. Step two was I tried just like a salted cooking broth. Didn't fix it. So then the next step was I put the bones in the slow cooker, apple cider vinegar, cooked it for 24 hours. And then so last Wednesday, I started with homemade bone broth, the kind that has a nice gelatinous fat layer on the top.
Mm-hmm.
And so the crazy thing is, if I do a 72-hour fast, typically the first thing I have, regardless of what it is, very quickly there's almost that urgency to get to a bathroom. So I anticipated that because I thought,
Mm-hmm.
42 days, my gut's probably going to be like, whoa, what's this? And it didn't happen.
Mm.
And so then the next day, I went for the broth again a couple times and didn't happen. And I remarked to my friend Mary, we talk all day. And I said, I can't believe this. I have not only did I not have that, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
my gut doesn't know what's happening. I need to go to the bathroom right now, urgency. I didn't even have that kind of, gurgling.
Hmm.
There was no churning or gurgling the way you would normally have after a few days of a fast when your body's like, oh, here we go again. It didn't happen. And so then the third day, it didn't happen. I'm like, this is wild. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, stuck with kettle and fire broth or homemade broth. And I was fine. So I said, okay. So for Easter
No
Sunday,
solid foods, just broth for the
for
first,
those 4 days, just broth.
just broth. Okay.
And then Sunday, Easter Sunday, so day 5, I decided to introduce eggs, which there seems to be split down the middle. Half
Mm.
the people say, oh no,
Yeah.
eggs trigger people. And then other people say eggs are so gentle. I find first food, egg, I'm good with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I made egg biscuits and egg drop soup. So I had 4 eggs between the biscuits and the soup. It was 4 eggs and homemade broth. And I was fine. So I was like, geez, like this is remarkable. It's almost like my gut was so peaceful and so healed that it was like, thank
Wow.
you for giving me this. And we're just gonna take our time and just,
Mm-hmm.
work on it. And then Monday I thought, oh, I'll repeat the same and add some meat.
Mm-hmm.
So I did. It was a little much. Had some peanut butter too. Body did not like that.
So just taking
And
it
then I've kind
very,
of feasted since Monday.
okay. So taking it pretty slow, just kind of,
Yeah, I was like, I went slow, 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 slow. Food,
yeah.
food. Let's eat all the things for a few days.
Mm. Did you were you worried about the refeeding syndrome? And for those who don't know, it's it's more common when you're doing long just water fast, when you're not ingesting any electrolytes like with snake
Exactly.
juice, where you can get a shift of certain electrolytes in your body, and it can actually be life threatening. So that's, I mean, look it up. Obviously, we're not going to discuss it in details, but was there any issue with worrying about that, or you were pretty well?
No. So the thing is, okay, well, first of all, for anyone who is curious, one of the best resources to learn about refeeding syndrome, if you type in the fasting method,
Mm-hmm.
refeeding syndrome, you'll get Dr. Jason Fung's article about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not only a good article, but it's from a nephrologist, so he'll explain it really well.
Okay.
And no, so because I am well versed into what refeeding syndrome is, and that it is almost entirely related more so to the people who are in starvation mode and not
Mm-hmm.
supplementing electrolytes,
Yes.
like people who come out of concentration camps. Um, I knew that I was very much fortifying my body with my electrolytes and the baking soda and things that it needed,
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't have concerns that it would be a shock to my system. So, I mean, if I had never heard of it before, and hadn't been having electrolytes, I probably would have had a bit of a panicked
Mm-hmm.
moment. But I absolutely know that I wasn't in any dangerous zone as far as salt and potassium and magnesium during the entire fast. So breaking it, I also didn't just sit down. I mean, I've broken a 5-day fast before with a baconator and a salad at Wendy's. I do not recommend that.
Yeah,
You're not going to get refeeding syndrome, but you're not going to feel very good. So I knew not to do that. But I also knew that as long as I was salty for the whole time, I
mm,
shouldn't get that shift.
yeah, yeah, that's good. And I feel like most people that listen to us, our community, most of them are snake diet followers, people that ingest some
Right.
electrolytes, and I cannot stress enough how important it is, especially salt, like pink Himalayan
Mm-hmm.
salt with your water. It's so important. If you're just drinking out straight water, you are actually doing more damage because you're flushing out a lot of these electrolytes. When you in ketosis, it's so much easier to flush out those electrolytes as opposed to when you're eating food and drinking plain water. So very important.
Yeah, like if you get up at the end of the day, if you're on your recliner or lying in your bed or in a hot bath and you get up and you feel dizzy,
Mm-hmm.
woozy,
Yeah.
or if you feel like the room gets dark and then light
Yeah.
again, get your electrolytes into you and start
Mm-hmm.
being extra careful about not getting up too quickly
Yeah. Yeah.
because you could
Usually.
hurt yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And one rule of thumb, like some people say, well, how much salt do I need? I like, in fact, Dr. Barry posted a video today talking about blood pressure. And
Mm-hmm.
so he was talking about the importance of sodium. And he said, your body is actually really intelligent. If you eat something or drink something and you think that's really salty, your body is good. You have enough. If
Mm-hmm.
likewise, if you drink it or eat it and you think, that could use some salt, that is your body's way of saying, yeah, man, you do need some sodium.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, your body. And so same with Soleil water, because people will say, well, how much do you put in? A teaspoon, a tablespoon? Start with a teaspoon. If it tastes
Mm.
fine, try 2 teaspoons. If it tastes fine, try a tablespoon. If it feels a little salty, you're probably good at 2 teaspoons. Your
How
body
much do
tells
you
you.
how much do you typically ingest sodium, or do you have, is it
Don't
just
measure it.
it doesn't
I
you just
just let my
go
body
by
be
how
the
you
guide
feel?
throughout the day.
Yeah. Listening to your
If I have a
body.
headache, I'll walk by and
Mm-hmm.
take sodium.
You feel dizzy. Okay, need more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Because a couple
Mm-hmm.
times I thought I have chronic sinus issues, and a couple of times I thought, oh, am I getting a sinus infection because it hurt here?
Mm,
It wasn't my sinuses. I needed salt, and
yeah.
the symptoms were coming on as though it was like a sinus infection, but I was clear. There was nothing happening. It was I needed salt.
Mm,
And then it went away. So it was like your body pain signals can throw you off and you think I'm getting a migraine and then you'll go pop some Excedrin
yeah.
only to realize it wasn't a migraine at all.
Yeah.
You drank too much fresh water, peed too much, and you needed salt.
Mm-hmm. I
I
mean,
used to drink so much water, and fasting has really dialed that down.
after this, are you planning to go back to OMAD, TUMAD? Are you going to do more fasting, like shorter fasts, 48, 72s? What's your plan, or have you thought about it yet? Or,
I've been thinking about it daily. Currently, what I think I might try starting Monday for 2 weeks is the protocol I had been doing from December until February, which was to eat on Monday, do a 72, which because Tuesday I don't go to the gym.
mm-hmm,
Wednesday's cardio day. I prefer fasted cardio. We've decided.
mm-hmm,
Then that puts me eating Thursday. So Monday and Thursday are heavy lifting days. So I would eat, do a 72 and eat.
mm-hmm,
And then do this is what I'm thinking, a 48, which puts me eating on Saturday, and then do a 48 to start the whole thing again Monday. Just do that for 2 weeks. And then I'm pondering alternate day fasting in May, maybe. I've never done that. So I kind of like the idea of doing alternate day fasting and keeping it to a 1 or 2 meal window.
mm-hmm. And just,
That's what I'm
just
thinking.
listening to your body and seeing how your body feels, because
Yeah.
again, you want to change things up. If you're doing something all the time, your body's so smart, it's going to adjust to whatever you're doing. So
Yep.
I think it's so important to keep it open, change it out. What, 1 month, if you want to do all month, do it. If next month you want to throw in some 48s or different things, I think it's so important to keep your body guessing and trying different things and figuring out
And plus
what.
I want to figure out what the sweet spot is to start making gains at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I had said before, I only got cleared to start heavy lifting in January.
Yeah.
So, and then I've done this fast. And so I want to start learning how and when to fuel my body in such a way that I can maintain a loss. I'm not saying necessarily lose more, but maintain the loss and then work on body composition changes
Mm-hmm.
and being able to do a push up for the first time in my
Mm-hmm.
life.
Yes,
Now that my shoulder's not bothering me, I can start working on those things. There's things that I haven't been able to work on, but now I want to start seeing changes in my posture and my waist and my back and strength. And so it'll be less focus on the skill, because if I do maintain the loss but start building more muscle, it
Mm-hmm.
skews what that scale looks like anyway.
Yeah.
So it's more about how I feel in
Yes.
my body, my mood, my sleep, my skin, my physique, my strength, not so much the scale at this point.
I think that's a excellent goal. I have a one last question, um, that that I feel like a lot of people struggle with. So, here, give us some advice. Here's someone that just finished a 42-day fast. For people that are beginning this fasting journey and they can barely go a day or 16 hours or even 24 hours, 48 hours fasted, what advice would you give to people that are in that early stages of fasting, or even experienced fasters that just cannot get back into the game? And here is someone, obviously I'm not recommending, go and do a 42-day fast, but I'm just wanting to use your expertise to show people, like, what can you do? This is not to have people go do 42-day fast. This is to encourage people to understand that if someone can do a 42-day fast, like, yeah, I can do a 24-hour fast or 3-day fast,
Yeah.
5-day fast. Like, what would be your advice to those out there that are
And I'm
struggling?
sure I've said this before. Like I probably repeat myself all the time.
That's okay.
But a couple of things. For anybody at any stage of any fasting, you got to build on it, you know. It's like when you start a new healthy eating plan, you start out just eating as much throughout the day as you need to, as long as it's foods that are on your list. And then eventually you just kind of try to shorten that down. I mean, so you just sort of try to start out by eliminating snacks and then pushing out breakfast or pushing out one meal. Once you're comfortable with that, if you have a desire to fast longer, it literally is no different than me saying, I want to learn to do push ups. Well, the only way to start learning to do them is to start doing them, even if I only can lower an inch. Eventually, it'll be 2 inches and then three.
Mhm.
And so, if you're only used to fasting 10 hours out of your 24 hours, focus first on just getting to a 12 and 12 split, and then eventually push out a meal. Eventually, it's like a muscle, you'll build it. And then, if you do want to seek longer fasts, the biggest piece of advice I can give is actually not even my own, it's Cole Robinson's, because the mistake I made last year is I was fasting big and then frigging up my refeeds every single time. And I listened to his video, and actually somebody had a transcript of it too, and it talked about yo-yo fasting. And he said anybody can fast, anybody, until you can do 20 consecutive short, tight fasts with clean, short, tight refeeds. Do not even attempt a longer one. And I heard him say that a year ago, and I just said, yeah, 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 yeah. No, and I was cocky, and I said, no, I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But until I truly listened to that and I counted, I did 19 cycles of 24, 48, and 72-hour lengths between December 7th and February 17th. because I said, you know what, he's right.
Mm-hmm.
Fasting is the easy part. Until I can do it and show that I am responsible to keep it going, I didn't even, and then it just, the timing worked out well for this for me. But if it's you, it's anybody else, start by just building the fasting muscle in general and get comfortable with your routine. And then don't attempt anything super big until you've done quite a few
Mm.
consistent fasts and feeds and fasts and feeds in various circumstances and stress levels and family events, because otherwise it's not going to end well.
Yeah.
But keep
You're
it
just
simple
gonna
and
get
just build the muscle.
Yeah, because otherwise you're just gonna get caught up in that vicious cycle. It's actually more
I did.
mentally exhausting. I've been there myself. My first year of fasting, I would fast hard, binge hard. I mean, it
Yep.
was like mentally I felt even more defeated because I was like, why can't I just do this? And it
Yeah.
wasn't, you have to start slow. You have to focus on the refeeds. The refeeds are key when it comes
And pick
to
a time if you want to do one that's longer than you've ever done. Pick a time when you don't have your mom's birthday party or
mm,
Mother's Day or Christmas. Pick a time when you don't
yeah,
really have a whole lot going on, so that if you feel like garbage, you can go rest
yeah,
or break your fast.
yeah.
You
And
know,
this
and
is
not only that,
fine.
just there is no rule that says you have to fast. Fasting's powerful, but no one says you have to. People
Mm-hmm.
think, well, these other girls are fasting for 7 days like it's nothing. So if I can't get to the point of being able to fast for 7 days, I'm obviously failing. And it's like, not at all.
No, no.
Maybe your limit will be a 96-hour fast
Mm-hmm.
and never anything longer. That's incredible. You're still
Yeah.
tapping into so much healing.
It's your own journey, and if you do have a lot of stress in your life, a lot of work stress, family stress, fasting is probably not the best thing to do when it's all happening because
That's right. And back
fasting.
to the sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Master your sleep before you master a longer fast.
Yeah.
Because if you're not sleeping in a fed state, you're definitely not going to sleep in a fasted state.
Mm-hmm. And when you already have so much stress going on in your life, fasting can be an added stressor. Like you want to approach it
Yeah.
from a calm manner. Like you want to be excited about it and understand that it's such a great benefit to your health. Not like, oh, I can, you're stressed about, or just focusing on the weight. And I get it. Like I know
Yeah.
fasting is for majority people out there. They do it for the weight, and I understand because that's initially why I did it.
It's okay that that's a part of it,
Yeah, it is. But when I
but it
started,
shouldn't be the only part of it.
yes, because when I started learning about all the other benefits of fasting, it actually made me even more excited about fasting, and I was more encouraged to fast because I knew, the scale didn't move, and I was like just disappointed at the fasting thing. Then I would still fast because I knew that I'm gonna get some health benefits from it as well and heal all the other issues in my body. So again, educate yourself. Knowledge is power. And the more you know about it, the more encouraged you're going to be to do it. And if you don't only focus on the weight. And again, the scale is one thing. Yes, great benefit. Nothing wrong with that. But eventually, there's so much more. It's that general picture of health and feeling better, because that we all want to feel better mentally, physically, emotionally, and
For sure.
fasting is such a powerful tool for all of those areas of your body. Thank you so much, Stephanie. You're amazing. I just love following your journey. I will link your Instagram below as well. And just thank you so much for taking your time. I always appreciate your wisdom, your knowledge, your advice, and I'm sure others will as well.
Always a good time.